Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another Everton 24/7 report, the very first one of 2020 and the first of many this month. As of today, of course, these shows will be back on a daily basis for the duration of the January transfer window, as we see how it pans out for Carlo Ancelotti in what is his first window as Everton manager. So let's kickstart the first show of the year with a name which has already been heavily linked to Everton in the past few windows. And that is, of course, Adrien Rabiot. The sport media set in Italy say Everton plan to bid 25 to 30 million euros for him, but are facing competition from Arsenal, who are, of course, now under the management of Mikel Arteta. It is certainly believed that Juve will carefully consider any offer in that region. And Everton, of course, were also linked to Dejan Kulusevski, who's a very young 18-year-old midfielder at Atalanta, but we are set to lose out to Juve in the race for him, which, of course, the fact that they're getting him could very much pave the way for us to get Rabiot on maybe a little bit of a better deal. So let's keep our eyes open for that. Whether or not getting Rabiot is a good thing is very much up for debate, I think. Let's not forget that Rabiot was not the greatest influence in the dressing room at his former club, Paris Saint-Germain. He was disciplined by Thomas Tuchel back in November 2018. He then refused to sign a new contract and ran it down. And then he got banished to the reserves by Tuchel and didn't really play much at all for PSG for the rest of the season. Then, of course, he signed for Juve on a free transfer last summer. And the cause for concern continues when you realise that he's only completed 4 90-minute games for Juventus this season. Considering he's being looked at as a solution to our own fitness crisis, it begs the question, is he really fit enough to solve those problems? Has he got the work rate to fix the issues in midfield where we're clearly not getting a hold of games at times enough, such as the City game yesterday? And it begs the question, do we look elsewhere? Perhaps there is a value out there. Or, on the other hand, maybe Ancelotti is the man to kick this rebel into shape. If he can, it could prove to be a bargain transfer. It's a very difficult decision when you weigh up the pros and cons, and while I was very impressed with what I saw of him in his early years, a couple of years ago, these recent stories have proven quite off-putting, especially when you consider that Everton are already, in my opinion, a squad full of wasters. So we're trying to move a few of those on. We really don't want to be adding another one to the team. So we've got to really consider that very carefully. Moving on, and Everton have had a £500,000 bid rejected from Carlisle United for 17-year-old defender Jarrad Braithwaite, or Branthwaite actually. It is believed Carlisle are waiting for a bidding war to start over him, with the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City and Chelsea all also interested in signing their promising defender. He's not the only defender from the lower leagues that we've apparently got an eye on. The Daily Mirror have linked us to Nottingham Forest defender Joe Worrall in the past, and now those rumours seem to have resurfaced. Worrall is still only 22 and has experience higher up the leagues than Branthwaite has, which may suggest that he may be more ready to slot straight into the Everton squad. Hence why he would probably be more appealing to Ancelotti, maybe if Marcel Brands might be looking at the younger option, but I think Ancelotti would much prefer this one if either of these are considered as serious options. At 6'4", Worrall is an imposing figure in defence, and he does possess a bit more pace than Michael Keane, who I'd imagine would be the player he would replace should he sign. So at the right price, Worrall could be a very good signing. There hasn't really been a price touted around for him, but you'd imagine it'd be something in the sort of 10 to 15 million region for a championship defender. On to outgoings now, and it wouldn't be a transfer window for Everton without a story linking one of our better players to Manchester United. This time it is the banking form striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who has been linked to them for 50 million, no less. Personally, I still wouldn't sell him for that. We're talking a banging form, young, strong, pacey English striker who is slowly starting to add more goals to his game. Give it a few more years and he could actually be worth a lot more, maybe even more than we ended up selling Romelu Lukaku for. So certainly at the moment he's a very popular figure at the club. I'd definitely be holding on to Dominic Calvert-Lewin for the foreseeable future. Plus, let's just not forget this story is most likely completely laughable, and we might as well just throw it straight on the rumour scrap heap anyway. So moving on, he's not the only England under-21 talent to have been linked with a move away. Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham have all been linked with signing Jonjoe Kenny on a permanent deal from us. Of course, Kenny is already out on loan for the rest of this season at Schalke, and he has done well in his time there so far. And maybe his form has started to catch some eyes, which may be concerning to Everton fans. I know a lot of Everton fans are big admirers of Kenny, and I certainly don't want him to go myself. I can't see it happening. If Kenny does end up leaving Everton, I can imagine it would mainly be to make his current loan at Schalke a permanent deal. Otherwise, I expect, and like I say, for me personally, hope that Kenny will be back with the Everton squad next season and nowhere else. With Seamus Coleman not getting any younger and Djibril Sidibe consistently inconsistent, it seems, he may very well be needed next season. And if given that chance, I'm convinced that this lad can be a success here, and maybe under a better manager like Ancelotti, who's a level above anyone else he's worked with at Everton, we could really get a good chance to see what he is made of. Just a few more things to bring you now, and some brilliant news coming out of the club in the last few, well, not out of the club, from Paul Joyce, as a matter of fact, which is regularly considered gospel on Twitter. But Duncan Ferguson is set to be rewarded for his exploits as caretaker manager, and now I suppose as Ancelotti's assistant as well, by being offered a new bumper contract. And I think myself that after the last month or so, we can all agree that Big Dunk has earned that. And hopefully in his new, more influential role under the tutelage of Ancelotti, that he can go from strength to strength, because if he does, we will be all the better for it, most certainly. The influence that he can have on the club and the fact that he gets the club, that could really help us to kick on if he continues to go from strength to strength. And finally, a blast from the past. Former Everton midfielder Li Tai has been appointed today as the new manager of the Chinese national team. Often a frustrating figure during his time here. He had a lot of injury problems, often didn't perform too well, but I do remember his first season with us quite fondly and thought he was an alright player for us. So definitely all the best to Li Tai in hopefully getting China to the World Cup in 2 years' time. Yeah, then there's another World Cup in 2 years' time. Isn't time going so quickly? So there you have it for today. Be sure to let us know your opinions on all the big talking points as always, particularly letting us know where you stand on Rabiot. Do we go for him? Is he worth the risk? Is he not? So certainly give us a comment, give us a like, and of course subscribe to the channel, especially over the course of this month, to keep yourselves posted. So I will be back again tomorrow, like I say, and until then, thank you guys for watching on the Toffee Blues.